Morning, good morning. It is 8:02. My apologies, a couple minutes late. Just kind of getting things set up here in the we'll call it the mobile weather department. I don't know. It's in my home office. Just kind of getting things set up. It is dark. It is dreary, and on the bottom left corner you can see there is a storm system sitting off of Florida's south coast, and because of that, it is throwing rain in. And through Coffee Talk this morning, we'll keep that radar up in the bottom left corner there so you can see our live radar and kind of get an idea of the broader perspective. But before we do anything else, like you needed real backup information, there's a look at the Tower Cam network. We're in Tavares, the seaplane capital of the world. Unfortunately, not expecting many takeoffs and landings here because we've got IFR conditions. I don't know that I'm going to be able to go fly today. I've always been told, and firmly agree, it's better to be down here wishing you were up there than up there wishing you were down here. And today is a kind of perfect example of that. I have seen some delays at Orlando International Airport because of the weather. Now that it's 8 a.m. and we're going to start to pick up the volume, I would think that some of these delays will become more and more of an issue. But at the moment, only 22 flights, and the FAA did have a delay program earlier. We're not really looking at that at the moment, so that is certainly some good news. All right, let's dial up our first warning live Doppler radar and just kind of see what's doing. First off, very heavy swath of rainfall moving right through Seminole County. Let's compare. That's the Melbourne radar. Tampa radar's down. Awesome. There's Jacksonville. This is us. So, heavy swath of rainfall moving through. If we look at the wind velocities, there's definitely some decent breeze in there, 20, 30 mile per hour winds. It's not severe. It's just very heavy rainfall. And that's lifting. Let me just lapse this to kind of give you an idea. Lake Mary, Heathrow, Wekiva areas, you're about to get absolutely poured on. Sanford, absolutely poured on. And, this is going to be one of those cases where I was doing the drop-off of the kids at school when this was happening. Like, this is not fun weather to be doing a drop-off in, right? There's a wider perspective. Sorrento up here toward like a Apopka area, it's already pouring, but around Zellwood, that's a good heavy downpour moving toward like Mount Dora and Tavares. So that's the heaviest swath that we have on the radar right now. Good steady rains continue here through Bithlo, Christmas, and that's going to be marching right into downtown Orlando over the next few minutes' time. We come over here to Brevard County. Heavy rains coming in around Port St. John. It's raining, it's pouring over in the Cape. Up to the north into Volusia County, good heavy downpour moving through New Smyrna Beach, Ponce Inlet area. Port Orange, Dunlawton over to the Pavilion, watching some good heavy rains for you. Further to the north, another swath of rain coming in around Holly Hill say Ormond Beach up to the Flagler-Volusia border. Out west, it's not as heavy, but like the Villages, the rains are starting to pick up for you, right? Fruitland Park, Wildwood, watching those rains picking up. Okahumpka, Lake Pennsauken. So, it's raining, and it's going to be like that. Now, there's going to be pockets of heavier rain today. There's going to be pockets of lighter rain, but generally, it's just going to be cloudy and wet. Why? What's going on atmospherically? I mean, I'm cycling through it on the bottom left corner of your screen, but let's take a bit of a deeper dive, right? So we've had this storm system in the Gulf of Mexico, right? And now we're firing up a storm system over South Florida. Hold on, Kellyanne's texting. Let me just make sure she's good. Okay, got it. This is what we knew was going to happen. I made a graphic days and days and days ago illustrating this exact scenario. But interestingly enough, the storm system off of South Florida, let me switch over to the live radar out of Miami. Give me a minute. It's the high resolution radar. Like, let me go instead of the last hour. Let me look at the last 3 hours. Like, looks like I only have data maybe that goes back 2. That makes sense. But that's an interesting little feature there. Non-tropical this time. If you followed our long range forecasting much, kind of how we do these things. To me, this is absolutely going to be an interesting feature to watch come hurricane season next year. So there you go. It is that storm system that is providing us a less than desirable day. Temperatures out the door right now, 70s, 60s, and 70s. Not a big deal. 12-hour forecast. Let's go to the half version because I've got the box there. There you go. 40, 50, 60% coverage of showers and thunder showers around. Fran says we had wind gusts of 60 miles per hour in West Palm. Well, that makes a good point. Let me come in here. I'm going to dial up, and I'll show it to y'all as well. Give me 2 seconds. This is what I'm looking for. Okay. So this is a little tool that we use particularly. We use this little tool particularly during like big weather events. Okay. And I'm going to go into historical, valid, and from air temperature, wind gust. So that's today. Let's go to yesterday at midnight. Let's just look at like yesterday's wind gusts in South Florida, like Port Salerno. At Gilbert's House of Refuge, which I've been to several times. That weather station reported a wind gust yesterday of. Hold on. I'm going to make it bigger so that it looks prettier for this. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Gilbert's House of Refuge, 55 miles per hour. These are numbers from yesterday. We'll look at today's in a little bit. But, Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton, 40 miles per hour, 35. Miami Beach, 35, 40. We'll go to latest wind gust. Just kind of look, 45, Lantana, up by us a little bit further, 33 here in Indian River County, 38 in Indian River County. So suffice to say, we've had some wind gusts, right? But this is a really great little tool that we can use. I just want to look to the Keys real fast. What kind of gusts have they had? All right, so not a ton. So this is today. I just wanted to look today. Historical through, yeah. That's yesterday. Yeah. So, there's been some gusts over to Southwest Florida. Fort Myers, yeah. I'm just looking around. Yeah. So there's definitely been some gusts. Yeah, and we look at the latest numbers. It's thinking, yeah. So anyway, you get the idea. So this is a tool that we use a lot during like rain events. And as a matter of fact, I can pull from that. Let me switch over to rain numbers real fast. We'll go to 24. I don't know why it's just not loving when I click through 24-hour relative humidity change. It's like doing 2 instead of 1, so that's fun. Station plot, historical, let's see, layers. Plot, no. I don't know why it's not letting me do the precipitation. There we go. Precipitation, historical. If I go to latest, and I just do 36-hour. Okay, all right, so 36-hour rainfall numbers. So that's, yeah, so like look down in South Florida. These are 36-hour rainfall numbers. There's a lot of spots down here in South Florida. 7, 8, 9 inches of rain, right? Flash flood warnings in effect. And for people that say, like, well, Miami floods in nothing, they got something. Like, look at some of these numbers down there in Miami. You know, like, let's widen the perspective up. You know, Southwest Florida, not as much. And certainly up in our area, it seems like it's been raining a lot, but we haven't gotten a ton. You know, that 3.29, I don't know that that's necessarily valid because it's kind of in a league of its own right. But, you know, a half inch of rain or so in our area over to Brevard County. Some spots got an inch. I don't know if that inch 0.76 is valid around Titusville, but, you know, you're seeing half an inch to an inch in Brevard County. So it's been gusty, particularly in South Florida. It's been very, very wet, particularly in South Florida. This is a storm system that we are absolutely going to have to add to our discussion come hurricane season next year. That's just the way it is, right? There it is. So full transparency, right? Like each year we kind of get that signature part of the weather pattern that'll cycle through and cycle through. I would think that this is going to be one of those bigger parts of the weather pattern come 2024 that we're going to have to look at very, very closely together. All right. Yes, we absolutely need a little bit of rain, Stacy and Gary. But this is going to be an interesting little part of the weather pattern that cycles back through and will give us something to watch for next year. So that's kind of where we're at. Yeah. Reminds me of the Florista. I mean, it's further south, but it's the same kind of an idea, right? So let's take a look and kind of get an idea of Futurecast and see what Futurecast is saying. So next couple of hours, yeah, I mean, there's lunchtime, more heavy rains working on in, very heavy stuff. Carol says pouring in Claremont right now over on YouTube. Yeah, Carol, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. Hold on one second. Kellyanne's texting me. All right. Sorry about that. So that's lunchtime today, which stinks because like that's when I'm supposed to be flying today. Not going to happen, I don't think. Yeah. Heavy rain scattered around Central Florida. Very heavy rainfall through 2 o'clock. Heavy rainfall continuing in through 3:30, 4 o'clock. There's 5, 6 o'clock with the heavy rainfall. And then according to Futurecast, finally as the sun sets tonight, we'll start to little by little clear it out. Now, let's look ahead to tomorrow, right? Here's Friday morning, a few showers, but not too bad, right? 7, 8 o'clock, some downpours right along the shoreline, and then some of that moving in. But tomorrow, by far and away, is looking better and better and better for us. Tomorrow's absolutely looking good. Yeah. So, there's that. Now, because of all the rain today, the Weather Prediction Center issues these flooding threat products, and they're basically saying flooding's possible from about the metro off to the east because of the amount of rains, wave after wave after wave of rain. Yeah. And then from about the metro off to the west, watching for the chance. But wave after wave after wave after rain. And Weather Prediction Center saying, you know, through the next couple of days, 2 to 3 inches in our eastern spots, 1 to 2 through the metro, and about a half inch to an inch across our western spots. So there you go. There you go. Lots of advisories. Kellyanne made this graphic, and this is what we've been chatting about, and I've been giving her, like, pointers to try and make this look prettier. Flood watch for our east coast areas, Brevard, Volusia through 7 o'clock. Okay, wind advisories in effect for Brevard and Volusia through 7 o'clock. High surf advisories for all of our shoreline communities through 4 o'clock tomorrow. Coastal flooding, like beach erosion, things like that, in effect through 4 o'clock tomorrow. And rip current advisories in effect through 4 o'clock tomorrow. So lots of advisories in Central Florida. Lots of, like, when she made this, I'm like, that's a great way. It's a lot better than being like, here's a look at our high surf advisories for the coastline. Here's a look at our coastal flood advisories in effect for Central Florida. Here's a look at our wind advisories in effect for Central Florida. Here's a look at our flood watch in effect. You know, so it's like one-stop shopping makes it a little bit better to digest. There you go. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at. Rain is going to continue to fall. We've got that concern for flooding. All right. Now, that said, in terms of tropically speaking, this is an area that's attached to a front, but as it breaks away from a front, we're looking better and better and better. Our forecast dries out, but there's a low-end chance that it could try to develop. It's probably not. It's connected to fronts. Not going to be a thing, but it's still producing stuff that still has us watching the pattern because, of course, we know that this is all tied together. Everything is tied together. So there's that. Tropically, and then we can get back to local, but tropically down here in the Caribbean, we're watching this little area, which has been tagged Invest 98. All right. Has a medium chance of developing over the next couple of days' time. But again, it misses us, which is good. Computer models basically showing that moving away. So that's just not a thing. What is a thing, though, is this pesky little storm system that's just providing us all kinds of very heavy rainfall. Let's get an update here on the heavy rains moving on in. Heathrow, Longwood, like that is a heavy batch of rain moving right on through. Yep. Johnny is asking, is this an indicator for the next hurricane season? It is. I think it is. It's absolutely going in the list. It's absolutely going in the list. Yeah. Flying home from Charlotte around 3, any impact on the airlines? I mean, there's going to be heavy rainfall, and anytime there's rain, if the field goes IFR, they have to slow down flights. If there's thunder and lightning on the field, they shut down the airport, basically. So, yeah, I mean, that's a thing. That's a thing. Yep. Mickey says, GFS is showing a big old front for Thanksgiving. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Love that. Love that for us. All right, so that said, let's just kind of peek in on some of those models together here. Let's look at the raw GFS numbers. Johnny, I already answered it. Yes, it is. Me just hoping no one is driving like idiots on I-4 when I head to work. I know. Listen, I know it. All right, so raw GFS numbers. Let's look at some of these temperatures next couple. Holy cannoli. What are you doing, global forecast system? From the 80s, the GFS is saying throw some chill our direction for Thanksgiving. I mean, talk about getting in the vibe, huh? And then waking up in the metro to the 40s on Black Friday. Now, I'm doing sunrise both of these days, which I'm almost to 18 years with the company. Gotta love that. But I digress. It'll be interesting to see. Let's look at the European numbers. Let's check and see how this computer model's handling it. Kelly says that's some window open temperatures there. Oh, for sure. Yeah, even the European. Holy cannoli. Holy cannoli. What did Tony go with for a forecast? This has not been updated. This is Tony's from yesterday afternoon, so ignore this for a second. There you go. Yukon, aren't those your normal days off? Yup. Oh my God. Television news. All right. Let's take a look and see where we're at with the models, shall we? All right, raw GFS model. We'll start with you. There's the two lows. You've got the one in the Gulf. You've got the one off of the coast of South Florida and the one in the Caribbean. And they're just all kind of doing this weird squeeze play thing. Then there's Tuesday, Wednesday, there's that front. Now, interestingly enough, this is where it gets to be interesting, right? Because if we look at Kellyanne's 7-day forecast, okay, and this is where like computer models are guidance, not gospel, right? But that's going to be Wednesday afternoon. You see that lowered pressure, the green shades over Florida. Take a look at the 7-day forecast. Wednesday, Kellyanne's got the rain, right? So as we're starting to make our plans for Thanksgiving week, it looks like the day before Thanksgiving may be a day where we've got some inclement weather, okay? One thing I can promise you, we're going to be doing a lot of is going to be travel weather. We don't do that very often, but we're definitely going to be adding that into the mix here these next couple of days, okay? All right, back to the model. So there's that. Winnie says, I'm sitting on my screen porch listening to this rain, and I can hardly hear Eric. I love the rain on a tin roof. I have to... So agree. I so agree with that. Yeah. Oh, Denise is going on a Disney cruise on Friday. I'm so jealous of that. Oh, man. All right. So that's the day before Thanksgiving. Then Thanksgiving morning, that's all clearing out. High pressure's building in. If this times out, man, we're going to have an incredible Thanksgiving, and I hope that plays out. I love it. All right, so high pressure builds in. Then another little storm system around the 30th, and that's as far as the GFS goes. Let's look at the European. I just want to see if the European is timing out about the same. Yep, so there's the 3 lows. What a weird little setup this is. This is going to be, to me, a very active part of the weather cycling pattern come next hurricane season. It really is. Yeah. Nickel76 on YouTube. When you say indicator for next season, does that mean more storms developing off of Florida as opposed to coming through Florida? No. So essentially the idea is the new weather pattern sets up in October and November, and then it recycles over and over and over again, for the next 10 months. So, and that's one of the main ways that we put together a very successful hurricane forecast. We've been doing it every year. We put it together in the off season, the next few months, and then on March the 1st every year, we put that hurricane forecast together, so we'll be discussing that. This year we're going to try and be kind of transparent with y'all, and I have no idea, Priscilla, what you're saying. I have no idea what that means. I'm sorry. 10A to 9B, I have no idea what that means. Hardiness zone? What is a hardiness zone? So, anyway, there you go. All right. So, European, I just want to see that storm system moving away. Yeah, I mean, the European's throwing in high pressure as well. I didn't even know what that means, Priscilla. I apologize. If that's something we should be excited about, then I'm all about it. Those are planting zones for trees and gardens. I have no idea about this stuff. So I do apologize. I'm just not that cool. If you didn't know that already though, then you're already missing it. They just released a new plant zone, hardiness zone. Maybe that's what she's talking about. Got it. So does that mean we can do new things? Is that what that means? I'm sorry that I don't know. I'm sorry. All right. So any questions? Anything? Hurricane season's still here. This thing off of South Florida, not a hurricane. Okay. It's just an indicator for next year. Yep. Inclement weather next Wednesday. Does that mean severe weather? At the moment, it's just too early to really tell that. I would say that either way, it's just looking wet, Mickey. So that then leads us to like some travel forecasting stuff, right? So let's start. So today's Thursday. Maybe you're traveling for the holidays. So let's take a look at today's travel forecast. Obviously, we've got a bunch of moisture down in the Florida area. Some of those showers impacting coastal Georgia, coastal South Carolina, a couple of little flurries perhaps out in Colorado. But otherwise, things are looking really, really good. Gotta love that, right? So today's travel forecast, once you get out of Florida, not looking too bad. For tomorrow, starting to get a front moving into the northeastern United States. Now, I know we're not to like big travel times yet, but we're getting there. So I want to make sure everybody knows. Interestingly enough, if you're heading down to like Southern California, look at that. Some moisture moving that direction. But Detroit may see some delays tomorrow. Cincinnati may see some delays tomorrow. Showers off the shoreline here may kind of, I don't want to say clog up some airways, but it may, this moisture down here may provide some issues for that northeastern corridor. So definitely will be interesting to see how that plays out. For Saturday, all right, now we're starting to get into some real travel times. Let's take a look at the Saturday forecast. This is where it gets interesting, okay? So in the kind of West Coast, inclement weather, which means anytime you get SeaTac delayed, that entire western corridor starts to get delayed. This storm system that's off the coast of Florida, though, interestingly enough, is moreover kind of staying far enough off the shoreline to not really mess too much with like the New York flying, okay? So that big travel corridor doesn't look too bad. Okay, wind advisory just extended. So that's good. The higher peaks here in like Maine in the North Country of New York may see a couple of snow flurries. Otherwise, not looking too bad across the rest of the country, right? There's kind of that wide perspective. That's Saturday. Sunday, if I remember correctly, Sunday really starts that Thanksgiving travel season. And I don't have the high resolution modeling yet for it. So I'm not going to get to show it to you yet. But maybe tomorrow morning. I forget that today's Thursday and not Friday. So by tomorrow morning, I'll be able to show you. Actually, I can just dial up real fast. Hold on. I can do one more thing. Hold on. Add contour. Hold on. Add contour. Hold on. Precip type. I think I can do this through. I was using the high resolution models. I think I can do, I can do that. All right, so this is a little lower resolution version of it, but it'll at least give you an idea come Sunday, because Sunday is the big travel, is when we're starting the big travel day. Okay. All right. I'm making the sausage. 2 seconds, people. All right. So it's a lower resolution grid, but at least it gives you some idea. So there's Sunday. Now we're starting to get into some snow, perhaps into Colorado. So like United and all of the airlines that hub out through Denver are going to start to have some problems. Moisture around South Florida. But again, this is a much lower resolution grid. So once we get to tomorrow's Coffee Talk, we'll really be able to look at our Sunday travel forecast. But we're getting there. We're getting closer and closer to the travel forecasts. So that's kind of fun. I like that. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns? You can do a lot of things with us. You're not flying, so this Coffee Talk extended directors. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Autographs available at the bookstore. Live autograph signings. Anything below 70, we're used to close water parks. Yeah, I mean, sometimes they have to do that for weather, and that's fine. That's fine. Yep. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Yeah, this weather certainly is. Yeah. Are you going to the weather conference somewhere in Florida, Mike? From Mike's weather page, mentioned it. There was a conference yesterday I didn't make it to. It was about El Nino, but that's it. Yeah. Yep. All right, so that's kind of where we're at. So then the question, of course, comes in like, when does this all recycle? We'll have to take a look at the long-range stuff on a quieter weather day. Maybe tomorrow we'll look at the BSR and all that long-range stuff. All right? Good? Y'all good? Very good. All right. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. I'm sorry that we're just tracking rain, rain, rain. There's that bottom left corner. That storm system firing up over South Florida is going to do it. All right. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank y'all for hanging out. Take care. Bye.